Welcome to Mindscapes from Live Oak Studio at Texas State University, where we explore how design shapes our mental and emotional lives. I'm your guest host, Ethan Ramirez, lecturer of interior design at Texas State University. Today I'm joined by Dr. Nadim Adi, professor of interior design at Texas State University, who brings unique insights and experiences to our conversation on design and mental health. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's interesting being on the other side of it.
Exactly right.
To start out, can you tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you into your field or role?
So I started out as an architect, and one of my, I think, pet peeves with architecture was whenever I went to ask my professor, how does this thing work or not? The usual answer is, trust me, I'm an architect, or trust me, I'm an engineer. And I thought, well, you know, they gave us examples of like beautiful buildings in our eyes, but then you research it a bit more, and then people were miserable being there. So I thought, well, there has to be a connection there. And then kind of through a series of working with virtual reality, you have to understand how how people behave and react to different things. And then that kind of led me to working on a project where we looked specifically at designing hospitals for people with dementia. And then I was kind of hooked ever since, really.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Kind of taking a little bit more of that informed design approach.
Exactly, yeah. It's because it's like the usual approach in like the construction field is like trial and error, and you know, it's an expensive and long approach. I mean, I wish I had the funds to trial and error my way through life, but yeah, you know, it's a little difficult. So yeah.
Absolutely. How has your mental health or emotional well-being influenced the way you think about design or your work?
So I think it plays a huge role, like where you grew up and the background and the things you deal with. One thing growing up in the Middle East in the 80s and 90s is that you notice that mental health is one of those taboo subjects. You could easily say in a conversation, oh, we have a relative who kind of disappeared one day and we don't know anything about them. That's fine to a certain extent in a talk, but you can't say, well, someone is depressed in the family. So it was one of those wild things to me, like, oh, it's fine to say, you know, uncle or aunt is a little depressed. That's fine. How come we can't talk about it? And it wasn't something people talked about. And I thought that's a missed opportunity, because the more you talk about it, the more you learn about it, in a sense.
Absolutely.
And the more it informs you as, you know, as a professional or as a designer in my case. So.
Yeah, it's interesting how that taboo does stick with people, you know.
Yeah.
It's such a large part of our lives. Obviously, our mental, like more than half of our experiences in our heads. So whether or not that's going well should be up for conversation.
Yeah.
Was there a moment when you realized how powerful design can be in shaping the human experience?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was during a project we worked on in the University of Alberta, and we looked at how hospital design affects people who are living with dementia, and we noticed that poorly designed hospitals increase the likelihood of injury by 3 times for a person with dementia. And we also noticed something personally, is every time I went to a hospital, I got lost, which is...
That's not good.
Yeah, like you're usually stressed out when you go to a hospital. You never go there for like, you know, I'm bored, let's go to a hospital.
Let's just get lost in the hospital for a second.
But every time I went there, whether for myself, for, you know, for my wife, for my kids, for a relative, I got lost. And digging into that, you find out that a medium-sized hospital loses about 4,500 hours a year just by by people getting lost and asking for instructions, and that's around $600,000 worth of time, not, let alone the stress that kind of exacerbates any problem you're dealing with. So,
not a small number.
Exactly, and I thought, oh, wow, like signs and, you know, not getting lost or stressed out is an easy fix in terms of design. Like it's not something we worry a lot about as designers, but oh my God, like the impact of it.
And I mean, as interiors, that's something we can directly control with wayfinding or other directives.
Yeah, and that's one of the things is that like the remedy for these things is a bucket of paint and a brush and some elbow grease like that. That would go a long way in helping out in these things. So to me, that was wild. And then you start digging more into, okay, well, how does a person with dementia sees the world? And then you realize, well, they're looking at an angle downwards, so the usual sign, kind of like this height, doesn't work for them because they're going to miss part of it or all of it. So you have to kind of bring it down a little bit.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, when I'm more in my head, I'm kind of looking down as well.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what kinds of spaces support mental well-being and which ones don't?
I think generally speaking, spaces that are connected to nature tend to be more beneficial to well-being, and in a way we're kind of like plants. We need sunshine to kind of function properly, and you find this in places like when I was doing my postdoc, my office didn't have a window at all, and Canadian winters are fun in a sense that you leave home at 7 a.m. and it's dark, pitch black, and you come back at 5 or 6 and it's pitch black, so you don't get to see the sun at all for long stretches. So you notice that your mood is down. You can't wait to kind of, when it's lunch hour or something, just to go out and walk out, even if it's minus 40 or something. You're still like, okay, I'm going to tough it out, but I need that sunshine. So
yeah, so your whole day was in darkness during that time period.
Pretty much, yeah. And you'll know, and like from research, like the percentage of depression is higher in places that don't see the sun. So Norway, Finland, Sweden, they tend to register higher cases of depression just because they have those long winters where, almost no sunlight. So that's something. So I think any space that's connected to sunlight, that's connected to green elements, whether inside the space itself or just having a view of a green element, are beneficial for our mental well-being. And the opposite is true. If I want to get someone nervous, I'll lock them in a windowless room with very bright lighting. So
yeah, I mean, that makes me nervous.
Not like the studio, not unlike the studio, but like we got a lot of colors that our viewers aren't seeing this, but like there's a lot of colors behind the camera, so that's kind of helping us a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that anytime I don't get sunlight for a couple of days, I notice a change in my personality. And and I know not everyone is affected as everybody else, but I think about sometimes we'll have talks of maybe moving to the Pacific Northwest, but it's kind of overcast there a lot.
Yeah.
And so that's not necessarily a space for maybe me. And I know different people, are kind of affected differently.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I think the tricky bit about mental health is that there is no one size fits all, and what works for one person might be detrimental for another person. So it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube on steroids in a sense. So so definitely whenever we're designing for some person, it's like whatever we tell our students all the time is, okay, talk to the person who's going to be using that space, figure them out, and that will make your life easier. And it's the same thing we end up doing whenever we're trying to tackle something as complex as mental health.
Yeah, I would be curious to see who the windowless box is supportive for.
Yeah, no.
Or maybe not curious.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's useful in very specific scenarios that are not conducive to health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're watching Mindscapes. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Mindscapes, where we're continuing our conversation with Dr. Nadim Adi on design and mental health. Nadim, are there specific design elements like light, layout, sound, or even texture that make the biggest difference?
Thanks for the question. I think in terms of how efficient an element is, I think light kind of is the most efficient one out there, because switching a light bulb is the easiest thing to do. So, you know, a ladder and just twist the light bulb off. And it could change the feel of the space dramatically. Which, like, if you're switching it from a cold light to a warm light, or say if you get one of those LED light bulbs, which you could play with the color, like you know, everyone goes through a period of like, I'm going to change the color every 2 seconds,
Right.
just until I figure out something. But that really affects our mood. So I think in terms of elements, I think light is one of those really important elements. And the other one that I think we don't use nearly as enough is our sense of touch. So the tactility of our furniture, and, you know, having a cold surface versus a warm surface really plays into it as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have been in a couple of restaurants where it just feels uncomfortable because, and I think it's because of the lighting. The temperature's a little too cool.
Yeah, exactly. And like cold lighting or like fluorescent lighting is fantastic if you're in a medical setting, because it makes everything so vivid. So so hopefully, you know, if you're a surgeon, you don't forget like a forceps or a scissors inside the patient's body or something. But not so much for a residential setting or a work setting. It's too cold and it's too impersonal. It feels very very professional in a sense. Yeah.
So lighting, very important. What do we often overlook or get wrong when it comes to design and mental health?
I think one of those things that we tend to forget is that even if we're designing for a specific mental health challenge, we have to look at where the person is at. So it's there's certain levels of severity to whomever is living with a mental health challenge. So if it's mild, then the design interventions can be milder than we want them to be, but it develops with time, and ideally the design should be able to kind of be flexible enough to develop with the person. So if the person is you know, occasionally wandering, that's fine. But if say, and I'm going to default to dementia because that's where I've done a lot of my work on. But if the person develops and starts forgetting how they look like, then our design should be flexible enough that we could replace the mirrors with pictures of them in various parts of their lives. Because sometimes what happens with a mirror is that the person looks into it, and in their mind they're 15, but realistically they're 80. So they see an 80-year-old person looking at them and like, who is that? and it's scary to them. So I think one of the things is the flexibility of design, and easier said than done, I confess, but it's one of those things that we tend to think, oh, you know, you build a house and it's there and that's it. And not really. You have to kind of keep developing it as you go.
Yeah, thinking about people aging in place, or if they're you know, mental decline, or
exactly,
ups and downs essentially. Awesome. How do you personally approach creating or evaluating a mentally healthy space?
So My first thing that I think of is how to make them as safe as possible, like how to make a person as safe as possible in that space. So in the same way when we tell our students, well, you know, if you're designing a table, maybe don't put like pointy angles everywhere. So if a person falls down or leans on it, they don't get, you know, skewered on the table. It's the same approach. So I'll think, well, you know, if I'm designing for an older person, falls are usually a big culprit. So how do I make it harder for them to fall? I can't eliminate it at all, but I can certainly make it more difficult for them to achieve that. So having things like resting areas, a chair with handles, for instance, that's a huge thing. And I'm noticing it about myself as I grow older. Like I'll lean on my knees to kind of try to get up, which I didn't do that like a decade ago. So
I don't think we're at that age yet.
yeah, exactly. Well, my kids always tell me, "Oh, you're old." I'm kinda, but not that much, right?
I'm getting there.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking about, you know, furniture and layouts like that, you know, I'm noticing it with young children. I don't know what it is about a young child, but every table seems to be right at the height of their head.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, watch your head, kid.
Yeah. And that's why you kind of you'd see products like those foam bits that you put at the corners of a table, or and the other thing is that for whatever reason, like, and this is kind of universal across multiple countries, is every kid at some point is going to start jumping from one piece of furniture to the next one. Yeah. And you kind of hope that, you know, they make it or they don't kind of crash badly.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I want to see a cool jump too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is there a project, place, or idea that inspires you in this area?
There's multiple, but most recently there's a dementia village in Holland, and what's inspiring about it is they designed the whole area to look like a small town, and the people living there, they wander between the different shops. Like even all the shops are part of that assisted living place, and the workers there are trained carers and nurses and all that. So the people living there get a feeling of independence, and they get the feeling, oh no, I'm wandering in my kind of town. I'm leaving my home, going to the post office or the mini market or whatever, and that's really inspiring to me, because you're not treating the person as, oh, I need to take care of you, I need to keep an eye on you. You need to, but they're doing it in such a nice and humane way that they don't feel it.
Yeah, I have a little bit of experience with that from working at the state school. It was a similar setup where they had different classes and different activities that people could do within a huge property, hundreds of acres kind of a situation. So, this is Mindscapes from Live Oak Studio at Texas State University. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're here with Dr. Nadim Adi, exploring the connection between design and well-being. If you could change one thing about how we teach design or talk about mental health in design, what would it be?
Oh, it's kind of like a like a shopping list for me. So, I think the one thing that we don't learn nearly enough about would be teaching a bit about the anatomy of it. And I know it's a bit nerdy in a sense, but when you know how the body breaks down, you kind of understand, oh, now I know why I need a handle, because the person's leg strength goes out, or the light receptor cones in the eye kind of start atrophying with age, so certain shades are not as clear as you kind of cross certain boundaries, like age milestones. So I think knowing these things would be really helpful for a designer. I mean, my mom was a doctor growing up, so I'd bug her with all sorts of questions, and she'd have her textbooks, and we're kind of like, oh, cool, that's what an eye looks like. So, so I think that kind of bit of base knowledge about this is really helpful.
If only we could inject years of experience into the students going
that's, I wish, We daydreamed about this when we were, in high school and in university. Like, isn't there a way just to pour the info in or something, or eat something and you'll know the information?
Yeah, that would be awesome. Where do you see the relationship between design and mental health going in the future?
I think, and this is kind of my nerdy side in a sense, but because like technology is doing these massive jumps, like 3 years ago we were like, we wouldn't even factor AI into the conversation, and now it's kind of like, oh, it's everyone go to kind of search engine or whatnot. So we're definitely going to get more integrated with technology. It's curious how we're going to get integrated. Like our generation, I suppose, our phones are always on us at all times. I suspect that that's going to be more incorporated into us. I'm not sure how heavy, but for instance, one of those technologies that's kind of now becoming more popular are these smart glasses. And I wonder if, 5-6 years down the line, these will be the default type of glasses that gives us all of that extra info when we're walking down the street or when we are living there. And then you'd have, if you're not happy with the interior of your place, just download this kind of textures package or something, right? So this would be interesting, really exciting to kind of think about, and seeing how it affects design, because I don't think all of the design we're going to see in the near future is going to be tangible in a sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
a little bit more augmented or digitally connected.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know if that's for better or worse. But it's going to be fun to be there for the ride, right?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Exactly. Yeah.
What role do everyday people, students, designers, or families play in shaping healthier environments?
I think massively. Like as designers, we make the setting. It's really the people who live there who kind of ultimately decide if it's working or not. And I think in the similar way, when you go to a furniture shop and you see all of these kind of beautifully curated settings for like bedrooms and kitchens and everything, they seem cold, they seem kind of unalive in a sense, and what's missing is a person who's actually lived there. So you get to see the untidy bits here and there, like the small edits they do, like, okay, I'm gonna tilt this slightly like this because that works with me. So I think that really helps, and in a way, I think shaping a healthy environment is basically just talking about it and doing what's comfortable for you at the end of the day, because you're the person who's living in that space. So I can come in as a designer and say, well, everything has to be, tidied up on shelves or in drawers and everywhere. And you might think, well, no, I'd like to have some stuff out there and displayed.
Sure.
Yeah,
making sure you kind of can figure out what you need exactly for your space is one of the challenges. That not only designers face, but also the people using the space.
Exactly.
Lots of factors.
Yeah.
What's one practical tip you'd share with someone who wants to create a more supportive space in their own life?
I'd say buy a plant or get a plant. We used to have a saying, like growing up, that plants are stolen, and that's kind of like when you're going to a neighbor or walking down, you can always take a small bit of plant, stick it in a cup of water, and it will grow. But this is coming from a person who doesn't know how to care for plants, but it really helps, and just by seeing, you know, a plant grow from a seed or from a tiny bit that you got somewhere, first of all, it's really, you get a sense of pride in a sense that, hey, I'm keeping it alive, and it really helps in a way. What we're seeing in terms of research and everything is the more green elements you have access to, usually the better your mental health is and the more productive you are. So, you know, if you're an employer out there, like, that's a win-win in a sense, right?
We got to increase stockholder or shareholder value.
Exactly, right. You know, have to sell it somehow. Right? Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's a pretty practical tip. You know, try to increase, access to some vegetation or maybe the sun. The other thing is, I think, what we did as teenagers, like get your favorite poster thing and just put it on the wall. Like, don't keep your walls pristine and bare. It's fine, you know. Hit a few nails in the wall. Like, okay, don't hit the power line, but other than that, you're good. Hang a picture.
Exactly.
You know, or put some art up.
Yeah, exactly.
Make the space your own.
Customize it. It's meant to be like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your perspective today.
Of course.
These conversations remind us that design is not just about aesthetics, it's about people, emotion, memory, and well-being. Before we close, is there anything you'd like to add or a message you'd like to leave our viewers with?
I think design is an optimistic field. We always kind of have big dreams and all of that. So I would say for a viewer, don't be afraid of dreaming. You know, dreaming big and following it up in the space you want to. It's the space you're living in and you're spending most of your time in, after all. So why not reach for a fantastic space? Yeah.
I think that's nice. Well, thank you again, Dr. Nadim Adi, for sharing your insights with us today. And thank you to our viewers for joining us on Mindscapes, where we explore how design shapes our mental and emotional lives. Mindscapes is produced at Live Oak Studio by the School of Journalism and Mass Communication in collaboration with the School of Family Consumer Sciences at Texas State University. I'm Ethan Ramirez, and we'll see you next time.